Welcome. Today I want to overview my tutoring program, outlining the results for my class of 2019 and 2020, as well as how the program works. So in total, I've had 6 students, 2 in 2019 and 4 in 2020. The 2 in 2019 were year 10s applying for IBIS and John Monash, both of which got into their respective schools. I had roughly 5 and 4 lessons respectively. I'd say both of those students were quite smart already, so not much teaching was needed. Just a few areas were fixed up and practice tests were provided for the exams. The one who got into JMSS had a great portfolio of achievements and extracurriculars, which are essential for selective schools in the older year levels. As for the one who got into IBIS, she only had some academic achievements for her extracurriculars. As for my class of 2020, I had 4 students, all of which were year 9s applying for year 10, 2 of which I considered to be my main students, and 2 of which were short term, having 1 to 3 lessons. The 2 main students are a focus, since I had around 6 and 9 months with them, having 2 to 3 hour lessons each week. The first started in November of 2019 and was applying for both Melbourne High School and Suzanne Cory High School. He managed to get an arts offer for Melbourne High but declined due to him wanting to do science and maths for VCE. I'd say this student is quite smart, being one of the top students in his current high school. He had quite a lot of extracurriculars from sports, such as tennis, being SRC, being grade 6 in piano, and having academic achievements in competitions for his school. As for how he did in the test, he managed to get 1 superior and received an interview for an arts offer at MHS. This student has decided to just apply for IBIS next year since he wants to do the Asian 5 for VCE. My other main student wanted to apply for IBIS year 11, but due to him being a year 9, he couldn't apply this year. So we ended up studying and preparing for IBIS until the last 10 weeks of the Suzanne exam, in which he told me he wanted to try and see if he could make it. In the end, he managed to receive an interview for Suzanne, but was unsuccessful in gaining a place. I'd say this student is also quite smart, being one of the top students from his current high school. However, he is definitely quite shy and only has academic achievements for his extracurriculars. After finding out that he could get an interview, I am quite confident in his ability to get into IBIS next year. As for the 2 short-term students, I had one wanting to apply for JMSS, in which we met up 3 times at Monash University before lockdown. However, due to COVID and personal circumstances, he was no longer able to continue with the lessons. I am unsure as to how he went, as we have not been in contact since. The last student asked for tutoring in the last week before the exam for Nossal and Suzanne, in which we had 2 3-hour lessons. This student did not have the best fundamentals for mathematics or numerical reasoning, but was strong in verbal reasoning and reading comprehension, in which she was able to receive a superior for verbal reasoning, but was unsuccessful in obtaining an interview. That pretty much covers it. It definitely is unfortunate that none of my students made it in or accepted the offers for my class of 2020, but I am glad that I was able to help them in some way. Especially for my 2 main students, I am glad that they were able to get interviews and an offer. They really improved a lot from when I first had them to when they reached the exam. Okay, so how JT worked in 2020. Since this was my first time that I decided to open up to the non-science selective schools, I adapted and created a mathematics textbook around my mathematics checklist for the selective schools. Please note, new videos for these will be uploaded with updated checklists in the coming weeks. I spent the first 10 weeks or so going through the content with my students. I also created masterclasses for verbal reasoning, reading comprehension, and numerical reasoning. Masterclasses go through each of the question types that are presented on the exam, and go through certain strategies that could be used. After these were completed and overviewed in the 3-hour sessions, I provided the students with weekly practice questions, outlining areas of weakness and forming certain tests around their weaknesses. We then did multiple practice exams closer towards the exam date. That pretty much overviews how I taught my class of 2020. As for homework, it was just practice questions, but it didn't need to be finished if a lot of schoolwork was presented. I was quite flexible with homework last year. So if applicants are wanting a one-on-one tutor or tutoring in small groups, my services are available for hire. But if not, the videos I have made and practice tests are available to view or purchase, all of which have been beneficial to applicants in one way or another. As of today, I'm still able to take up students for 2021, although there are only 2 months remaining. I will quickly overview how the 2021 tutoring is going and what I intend to do. So this year, or in particular this semester, I have decided to underload in order to work and finish all the tutoring materials going forward. I plan to transition all the PDF and Word documents into an LMS that will feature all the content needed for selective school tutoring. Why you should get tutored by me? I'm an experienced selective school tutor with over 200 plus hours of experience and have successfully helped many students through my services, be it through my guides, checklists, or tutoring services. I also have experience with the exams, gaining superiors and above averages. I also went through the same thing as you guys, and the tutors that I went to just provided heaps of practice questions but never really taught me content or enhanced my skills. So by going through that process, I've decided to create a better program. I know the types of questions that will be on the exam and have created the course in a way which enables the applicant to understand and practice these problems. I've created 2 ideal timelines that I plan to implement for my class of 21, a 12-month timeline and a 6-month one. Each are flexible in their own right and will depend solely on the rate at which the student learns. I do prefer to have more time with the applicant as it enables me to learn about their weaknesses and improve upon them before the exams. I primarily focus my tutoring around 8 to 10 weeks of content, followed by practice exams and tests closer to the exam. However, as outlined in my tutoring information sheet, which is displayed here, I'm quite flexible and am willing to work around the student's wants and needs. I intend to help the student by teaching them all the question types and content required for the exam. Due to the timeframes provided, I've condensed the course into a shorter 6 to 8 week program for those starting at the end of March and the start of April. At the moment, I have 5 students, 4 of which I teach in person and 1 online. I am able to take up students at Springvale Library, Monash Libraries, and the State Library of Victoria. Please contact me via my email at support@jc.batallones.com or via my social medias if you are interested. I do charge a flat $30 fee for individual students and go down to a $20 for groups of 2 or more. I've also included my JT information sheet in the description below for a full overview of the tuition. Thank you for listening and watching if you got to this part of the video.